Hi, this is Melanie for Pardesi Reviews, and I'm here to do a review of the Hindi film Sardar Udham, which premiered on Amazon Prime. If you're new to Pardesi Reviews, I do film reviews and trailer reactions of Indian cinema. This has been recommended to me multiple times, and I didn't get a chance to catch it the first week that it came out, but I watched it this weekend. It's a biopic of the revolutionary freedom fighter Udham Singh, who assassinated Michael O'Dwyer in London in 1940. It's a film directed by Shujit Sircar, and I've loved many of his previous films. Piku, oh my gosh. Vicky Donor is amazing. I really liked October, I think that was his most recent film. The story and the dialogues were written by Shubhendu Bhattacharya and Ritesh Shah. The film stars Vicky Kaushal as Udham Singh, and I think he gives an amazing performance. This film is almost 3 hours, 2 hours, 45 minutes or so. And it's not like it's padded with musical numbers, because there's a beautiful background score, but it's not that kind of a film. I was blown away by the production values. I was blown away by the cinematography. The cinematographer was Avik Mukhopadhyay. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. I'm sorry, but amazing. Like, there were some shots, and there was a shot of some fields in the mist that just took my breath away. The production design, as far as period details, because we have a lot of jumping around of time periods, from the massacre in Amritsar in 1919 to London in the 30s. We're in Russia, we're in Ireland. We're bouncing around, but the period details of the clothes and what they had done filming in London, it all looked amazing. I thought Vicky Kaushal gave such a good performance. He had to do quite a range in this, and show a range of ages from, like an older teen, maybe 19 or so, all the way up to a man in his early 40s who, after 20 years, finally gets his revenge on the person who gave the order for this massacre. There's an incredible sequence that's at the end of the film that's about an hour that is so visceral, that shows us the entire massacre in Amritsar in 1919. And you felt like you were just in the middle of that crowd. And then Vicky Kaushal's character has missed the shooting itself, and then is woken up by a friend who's very injured. And then he goes and spends the entire night trying to save as many of the wounded as he can. And so, we're taken back to something he says to one of his jailers in Scotland Yard. What were you doing when you were 23? That's the line of dialogue that sticks with me the most from this film. But anyway, the feeling that I had of that last 45 minutes or an hour, and the incredible filmmaking of that part, and how it made me feel, was similar to Spielberg's Saving Private Ryan, when we are on the beach in Normandy and D-Day and just really in the middle of the action. That's the way that it made me feel. Very powerful filmmaking in that part. However, the first part of the film, I was really surprised. We're not even to the first hour point, and we see Vicky Kaushal's character assassinate Michael O'Dwyer in London. And then I'm like, okay, wait a minute, it's only like 2 hours of this movie. What is going to happen? There was so much time jumping that I was not familiar with this person's story. I was not familiar with all of this, so it was confusing to me, all the time jumps. We see him getting out of prison, then suddenly we're fast forwarding, then we're back. It was a lot of time jumping in the beginning, and it was very confusing for me. And also just that I felt like we didn't really get to know this person. It was the way the script was written, is that he remained a man of mystery until that last hour. Then we saw what drove him to do what he did. And reading up about him on Wikipedia, the trial that they show and the things that Vicky Kaushal says at the trial were suppressed in the press at the time. The judge told all the reporters they could not report on what Udham Singh was saying. And those records were only released, I think, in the 90s, 1996. So that is absolutely incredible. So everything that Vicky Kaushal says is something that the real person said in that trial, which was just like a kangaroo court. So the line of the film is examining who says someone is a terrorist, who says someone is a revolutionary or a freedom fighter, right? I mean, it's a turn of a coin of your perspective of what you think about a person and their history. So obviously the Brits are almost all evil in this, although, you know, there's shared, Vicky Kaushal gives a broken English impassioned speech to an Irish freedom fighter, you know, member of the IRA, and saying how we're on the same side, we're fighting the same enemy. Now, there was just some, like, it felt like they were doing certain things about sending guns back to India and whatever, that it was shown in a way that only when I read about it in the Wikipedia article later that I was like, oh, okay. Like, it just, the middle section especially of the film just really did not flow for me. And it dragged. I'll just be honest with you, it dragged. While it was beautiful and Vicky Kaushal was giving a great performance, I felt like the film really took off in the third hour. And it's like, wow, that's a long time to wait for to really be so impactful. Highlight scenes, again, the courtroom scene, I thought was amazing. There's a scene where Vicky Kaushal is in England and he's drunk and he gives this impassioned speech to a homeless man that I thought was particularly great acting. But I don't know, the way that the story was put together didn't really work for me completely and didn't have the same impact as I think maybe that it could have if it was told in a different way. I'm not saying it had to be a completely linear start at 1919 and go, you know, to his death in 1940. That's not what I'm saying. It just was so much time jumping, or I just don't know. It just didn't flow for me. I know many people have loved this film, and I think there's a lot to really admire about it. The ambition of it, let me just tell you, all of the white actors were really actually pretty good. The guy playing Michael O'Dwyer was Sean Scott, who I looked him up. I mean, he's had a lot of supporting roles, a lot of British films and TV and so forth, but there was not like normal white actors in Indian films that are just like so bad, they're awful. Really, I thought everybody was quite good. You know, I was never taken out of the film by going, oh my God, like, that guy's so bad at acting. You know, I never had that. So kudos for, you know, assembling a lot of white actors in London that were really good and kept the story going. This is a flawed film, but I would still recommend you see it. It's because it's on Amazon Prime. Not perfect film, but definitely has some amazing moments in it. Vicky Kaushal really shines. I want to mention also Vanita Sandhu had a small supporting role as his sort of love interest, mute girlfriend from the past. And, you know, in flashbacks from 1919. She didn't have a lot to work with, but I thought she did very well considering she didn't actually even have dialogue because her character was supposed to be mute. But Vicky Kaushal is the standout. All right, let me know if you've seen this film, what you felt about it. Let me know in the comments below. Follow me on Twitter at PerdesiYT. Follow me on Instagram at PerdesiReviews. And if you hit the bell here when you subscribe, you'll never miss another trailer reaction or film review.